and you're fucking lying, and everybody knows you're fucking lying, Jesse. You
What am I
and I
lying
had
about?
debated this, and the fact of the matter is that you were fact checking shit, and you can't even admit that you were wrong. And even when Didi told you that he's not an officer under the state of fucking Georgia, that's the way where I was going with it, but I wasn't even allowed to. And you're sitting here acting like we've never had this conversation. Are you fucking kidding me?
I like how you notice how I let you fucking talk, but then if the second I talk that you don't like shit, you interrupt me. This is you're interrupting me as I speak right fucking now.
Friendship, no. The answer is fucking no.
Yeah, because this is garbage. This
is garbage. And
like you're saying that I'm your friend or whatever, and then you don't let me explain shit, and then you're sitting here saying that I know your argument. I don't know your fucking argument.
Yes, the fuck you did, Jesse. You are a fucking bro. And you're sitting here, and these people are yucking it up because they think
I'm quiet. That's all I do. That's why I haven't been hanging out in your lives, because I don't know that argument.
On the fucking phone,
Dude,
Jesse.
this is garbage.
Hold on, Jesse, I got paid $20 to drop you.
No, I'll pay to keep him. I'll pay to keep him.
This is garbage.
Okay.
Stupid. This is literally the stupidest thing.
I got a violation.
I'll be back on my other account. But ooh, I'm so fucking mad at you.
You can be. It doesn't bother me. But arguments just because I hang out in your lives.
Just today, I did not know what was going on with his family at all. I had no idea.
You didn't.
Okay.
Lynn didn't know either.
Okay.
But the point is,
that's perfectly fine. Can you check it now? Do you have time to check it now?
Yeah, I can check it today.
Can you check it right now? While you're on here, can you check it?
No, because I have to research and say, okay, is this credible? And then go look and see what else is it connected. I have to go look at everything.
Jesse, I sent you
just because
the Constitution.
Because I could sit here and send a screenshot of the Senate.gov that says that he is an officer.
Right, but the Senate.gov does not trump the Constitution, Jesse.
Yeah, it literally referenced the Constitution that says he is an officer.
Yeah, and I sent you the Constitution that says absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I wasn't disputing. You sat here and said that someone in the comment section asked, and you were saying that to them, but that wasn't my stance. And you said that I was incorrect about it. But I was not.
So I made a mistake. I apologize that I made a mistake.
Under Georgia state law.
Why are we still talking about it like children?
Because you said that I was wrong, and I couldn't admit that I was wrong, and I was right.
I never said you couldn't admit that you were wrong.
You did. You're still sitting here saying that I was wrong about it.
I'm
you fact check me on
that. I haven't looked at the evidence to see if you're wrong or not.
But that wasn't what I never stated. I never stated that he was, and I wasn't referring to that when RTP incorrectly read. He didn't even read the same thing I was reading. You can ask Raul when he went back.
Okay, cool. All these people did, but I haven't looked at it, and I'm not going to sit here and say that you're wrong or right about something until I look at the evidence. Plain and simple. Like, what do you want me to do? You're pressuring me to say that you're right in front of all these people.
To renege on what you said that I was incorrect about.
To say that you're right in front of everybody. What does that look like?
Because I was correct.
You're pressuring me to say that you're right instead of me going to research the evidence and making my own opinion off of that.
Well, hold on.
Do you see how bad that is?
Well, hold on, Jesse, because I'm with you, but at the same time, you quite literally stood on the fact that you were able to fact check her, telling her she was wrong in the same amount of time you're saying you can't do it right now.
Yeah, because I looked at Senate.gov, and it sits there and says, hey, it sits there and says that the vice president, when he's the president of the Senate is an officer. Not the vice president, but the president of the Senate is an officer.
Under Georgia state law?
I don't know. I looked at the federal
Why would the vice president?
I am wrong.
Okay, that's where, thank you.
Because I didn't know that you were talking about the Georgia level.
Right.
So how hard is that to fucking understand? And then
why was RTP
I'm going to look at it in my capacity, and I'm going to look at the evidence. But you're not going to pressure me.
Because that wasn't even what I was talking about. He was so off base and went off on a tangent about nothing. And you were fact checking something that wasn't. Okay, that is your problem. You were moderating.
No, that's not my problem. I haven't even looked at the Georgia to see if he's the president of the Senate.
Right, but that wasn't your job. That was his job to refute what I was saying.
Okay, then that's not my problem. You should have asked for more time, like I said.
So, well, hold on, Jesse, because she had she had RTP trying to go at her and interrupt her, and then you would interrupt her with a fact check, and it wasn't even what she was talking about. So you can understand why that would be frustrating. And she specifically asked for a source from RTP, and he refused to give it.
When?
So did you check the source? She asked for the source of the video that he played. She said, "Where is that from?" And she said, what's the date? Where was it at? Who was he speaking to? Where can you pull that up?
He played the video.
He played the video, but he
live.
didn't say anything. She wanted the context of the video. Where was he at? What date was it?
And
Who was he addressing?
I'm pretty sure I said it was plausible because he said he literally got the source, played it on there. What else does you guys want?
Because
what else is my job is to but here's the thing, my job is to moderate, but then like I'm only supposed to allow people to talk, but then at the same time I'm supposed to ask him the sources. Like you guys are mixing and matching on what you want to moderate or to fucking do. This is crazy to me.
No, Jesse, if you're going to talk, so hold on a second. So Jesse, I don't think you should have been fact checking anybody. I think that when MOD and RTP are debating, it is incumbent upon them to show their sources, especially if it's asked. But the issue is that she asked him specifically for the source and he wouldn't give it to her. But then he turns around and sends you something from Senate.gov on a federal level when she wasn't speaking about federal. And you were telling her she was wrong.
When it came to the federal, she should have clarified. She should have said, hey, that's the federal level. I want the Georgia.
Jesse,
but that burden was on him. Because she wasn't talking about the federal.
Okay, it doesn't matter. She should have said, no, that's federal. That's on her.
Jesse, you're in her live. They were in her. Hold on.
Can Raul chime in, please? Can he talk?
Yeah, I watched it in detail, and since Maud and I went over it in detail, I was kind of give my feedback, and I hate to see your friendship. You guys, like you've been on live, you're always
the friendship's not worth it. If it's going to end over some silly shit like this, then it's not a friendship.
To talk this out. Let me give you a perspective from what I saw at the end there, right? Maud was talking about the actual law itself, and she went and was reading the paragraph. So all three of you guys were reading it at the same time.
I was so frustrated at that point that I kept getting interrupted and he was allowed to pivot. And like you stated, there were several mistakes that I caught, and I was frustrated because it wasn't in good faith. And I can admit that. However, when I raised the argument to you and let you know that's why I was frustrated, that was coming from a place of frustration. Because there were several points. Yes, I was allowed to talk. I'm not saying that. There were several points that he still has not addressed and still has not to this day provided a source for. And I've asked the sources over and over again.
Why we look forward to part two, if we can have it more civil.
Oh, yeah.
If we ever get to that point.
I want to get down to the merits of what we were talking about. That's what I wanted to get down to.
But I don't think Jesse was being malicious or biased.
I'm not saying he was being malicious at that point. I'm not saying that. It was a point at that moment. I should have been allowed to continue because that fact checking me on something that I didn't even say was just a straw on the camel's back. I was done at that point because I knew at that point there was no need to continue on with this conversation. And maybe I should have, but it was 11 o'clock at night and I was done. I get sick and tired of the dragging in the comment section, the comments about my kids. I needed to go. And that was it. So maybe the timing of it wasn't right. That's fine. But I'm not going to sit there either and be gaslit knowing full damn well that's not what the fuck I was talking about.
Who keeps dropping RTP?
There were several
TikTok's glitching.
Oh.
There were several
His phone is messed up. Nobody's dropping him.
Sorry. There were several times where he was allowed to pivot away from something that he knew he was getting fucking destroyed on. And that's all well good and fine. I challenged him again. And we've been challenging him. So hopefully he's ready for the next round so that he knows.
And the other thing that's absolutely ridiculous is to say I posted the entire debate unedited. Oh, that's fine. Post the debate. But then you turned around and went on another additional 45 minutes of people just getting in there and fluffing your dick while you're literally sitting there bashing Maud. Like that was bullshit.
Actually, there were multiple times when people came up, like Priscilla, who went after Maud, and I kicked them off. And Jen, who at the time stepped in.
I was there for that.
Mom,
Still, I was
you're
still
making
watching.
a lot of background
Let me
noise.
finish my thoughts, please.
Right. No, I was just agreeing RTP. I was there and I watched that happen. And
Oh, sorry.
Priscilla came in and was like, "Why didn't you ask her about her credentials?" And he was like, "I told you all that I'm not going to do that," and then told her to do it on her own platform and kicked her.
Jen also stepped in multiple times and said, we're not going to bash Maud. And then the next morning, yesterday morning, when we went live, I was very kind. I said, most people don't have the courage that Maud had to get on a one-on-one debate in front of thousands of people. We should applaud Maud for doing that. I've been very complimentary the whole time. The only thing I would say here is like there seems to be this idea that I was sending Jesse sources. That Senate.gov source, I did not send to Jesse. I didn't even.
No, I found that myself.
I actually wasn't even making an argument about the officers. That entire discussion was between Maud and Jesse. It wasn't part of my argument. And people keep saying like, you allowed me to obfuscate. I will just once again say, go watch the replay. That's how our debate ended. Jesse and Maude were fighting about the officer while I was on mute laughing. And then Maude said, that's it, I'm done. I never even responded to that argument. So Maude, you're calling me out like, are you going to respond? Well, I would have liked to respond, but you quit. I never did respond to that argument. You guys argued and then you quit, but I didn't even make that argument. Again, the full replay is posted. You guys can see it. Like, I don't even, you guys are making all these videos about a issue that I didn't even bring up. It's just Jesse was fact checking something you said. This has nothing to do with me. And this is why when you guys look, we need a redo on this debate. It's like, we weren't even arguing this point. You and Jesse were. So maybe you and Jesse should have a debate about this, but it wasn't even like a debate that I was part of. It was on my channel. I was just sitting there laughing while you guys debated.
I think that should have been said in the debate.
So why should she have
if it was something, hold on, Lynn, if it was something that Jesse and Maude were debating, I think somebody should have been like, hey, this is a 1v1.
Yeah, well, they were talking. I wasn't going to step in and try and take control because I never wanted that to look like it was a debate that I had control over. So if Maude and
No, you
Jesse,
did.
so if
Because
Maude
you
and Jesse, so if Maude and Jesse are going to sit there and argue, I
Nope.
went on mute and I sat back.
That's not true because you backed him up and said, yeah, you were wrong. You were wrong because that's what you said. And here and
Yeah,
now,
that was-
he just
that was
said,
me
before you
debating.
came back up, he just said that I didn't say that. And everybody knows that I didn't say that at all.
Say what?
I wasn't disputing anything about the federal officers. You said that and anybody that's rewatched it, when I was reading the statute, you said that I was confused about who was being charged with impersonating an officer.
You
You
were.
were
You still
confused.
are. You still
No,
are.
I'm not confused. So
Yeah, you are.
were they being charged with being presidential electors?
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
You're absolutely sure that they were not being charged
Yes.
with
100%.
conspiracy
Yeah, that was my
to
argument.
commit impersonating it. Hey, Raul, what did you take from that?
Wait, why are you guys debating
Hold on,
again?
stop, Jesse. Raul, did was I talking about presidential electors or not?
Yeah, you started off the whole thing with the electors. You went straight to the law itself, and there was a misinterpretation where it said electors as officers, right? Because in Fanny's indictment, she's saying that electors are officers, right? And then you were going to try to make the point, we never got there, that they're not, and we never got there because the next sentence said, and president of the Senate, and so and so and so and so and so and so. And then we went off on a tangent talking about that second sentence, which doesn't apply to the whole issue of is an elector a state officer? And that's from what we reviewed before.
Yeah.
That's up in the air and still a debate.
Yeah, what my argument was is that that's not what Bonnie Willis is saying. My argument
That is what she was saying.
Maude, for the love of
What
God,
was your
this
argument?
is crazy,
Yeah.
Maude. Could
You
I
never
just
got to it. I'm curious to know what your
I'd
argument
like
is
to hear
on
your argument now.
Okay,
then.
well, yeah. So the argument which I made multiple times on the stream, again, you guys can go rewatch it.
No, just say it now.
Maude, for the love of God, like, could you just
You keep
mute?
saying
Like,
go watch
there
the
we go.
stream.
Yeah,
We know
Maude,
you're trying to grill.
please.
All right, reminder for everybody in the chat. A reminder for everybody in the chat, boys and girls and others in the chat. Please do not talk about children or careers. You will be put on timeout.
Yeah, so my argument is simply that you guys are misreading the indictment. The indictment, and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to get the words wrong, but it's like, it's conspiracy to, do you have it? Does anybody have it? You can read it exactly. It's conspiracy to,
I can read it.
yeah, read it, please.
All right, give me 1 second.
Count nine, right?
Wait, why are you guys debating this again?
Because we can. Just give me a minute. Hold on.
I mean, I can pull up my notes, but.
I should moderate Autumn.
Oh, hell no. Who let this corny ass?
Don't know who do it, bro.
This mother-
Okay, I found it. It's solicitation and conspiring.
That's not
Right,
what I'm
so
talking about. No.
That's what I was talking about, though. So
That's
wait,
not what
hold
I
on,
was
Maude,
talking
please.
about. That's not what I was
Maude, God
talking
damn it, please, Maude, please.
In order
Holy
for us
shit,
to get
not
on the
the middle
same
of my
page,
sentence.
in
All
order
right,
to
yeah,
get
no,
on
it's
the
Maude's
same
turn again,
page,
guys. It's
we have
Maude's
to
turn
have the
again.
right statute because that's not what I was talking about.
Maude, I know that's not what you were talking about, but you were responding to my argument, and my argument is
That
that
wasn't your argument. That was my argument.
My God.
It was
Does
count
everybody see
9
this?
because you're about to argue something that wasn't
Let
what we
me
were
make
talking
the
about.
argument then. Let me make the argument.
How are you
Maude.
going to make the argument when
Mute,
you don't, we're
Maude,
not on the
mute,
same page?
mute.
You
See,
asked
this
me
is-
to get it. Hold
This
on.
is why. This is
In
why I
all
don't want to
fairness,
debate you. You
did
won't
ask
even
me
let
to
me
pull up the
finish.
statute so that we could clarify.
Maude,
And
Then
you're
I looked
about
it
to
up.
go into
Mod.
something that we didn't even
All right,
talk
well, I'll
about.
just bounce then. Sports mom, I
See, this is why
tried.
you keep
I did
fucking
my
running,
best,
bro.
but like,
Because
if we can't,
this
if
is
we
why you
can't,
keep
like,
fucking
see,
running.
this is
Because you were about to, you said
Mod.
count
Have a
9,
great
and
day,
count
Mod.
9 is not
Have a great
solicitation.
day.
You see what I'm talking about? This is why you keep getting fucking dragged, bro. Because you said count 9. Count 9 is not solicitation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm done with
He
this.
sat here and said, well, you were going to get solicitation of. That was my argument. No, this was my stance. And then your ass brought up something that we weren't even talking about.
But Ma, let him go down that road, and when he's done, gets it all out, then you could just redirect to your point, and then make that point after he finishes talking. It just makes you look bad.
No, he asked her to go get the
Nothing makes me look
statute to
bad.
read it. He wanted her to read it before they went.
Yeah, but
any
he
further.
but in
And then
his
as
live,
soon as she
he was
came
making
back,
a point.
he started talking.
But in
No,
the
that
original
wasn't
live,
making sense.
in
No,
the
it
original
wasn't.
live, he made his point, and she redirected to her point, which was the officer. So he was just going to reiterate his original point. I say allow him to, and then say,
he
okay, that's
just asked
good.
her. No, he said he didn't. Before he made
Well,
his
that's
stance, he
good,
said,
yeah.
"I don't have it in front of me," and he asked somebody to go get it. So she did. So what she was
Right.
going to do was read it, so that he could then expound upon that. And he
Right.
wouldn't even let her do that.
He said count 9, which count 9 is not solicitation.
Yeah, it's the conspiracy. What he meant. He wanted to go with conspiracy of impersonating, right? So, and
Correct.
I never got his full stats. I don't think I got it in the
Well,
live.
then he can come back after I read the
Curious.
statute so that we're on the same page about what we're both talking about.
But he tried. He was going to say it. It might not have been exactly specific to the officer piece of the statute, but he was going to say it was overall. So I was curious to know.
How can he say he before he wanted to say it, he wanted her to read it, and that's
No,
what
he
she
was
came
trying-
back to do. And then when she started to,
And he's not
then
even
he
being
interrupted
charged
her,
with it.
and then complained about her interrupting him when she literally came back to help him in advance.
But even
First
if
of all, can I have the big box for a second? Because I
even
just
if he goes off on his tangent, let him go off on his tangent. Just let him have his piece, and then
right.
come back and say, "Well, that's not what I meant," and then redirect it to what you meant.
So he said solicitation. That is not what I'm talking about, because Donald Trump was never charged with count 2. So he's already off. He said solicitation. Donald Trump is not being charged with count 2. He said solicitation. Donald Trump is not even being charged with that. He's not even being charged with count 5, which is the other solicitation. He's not even being charged with count 6. We were specifically talking about Donald Trump. This is the one that he's being charged with. This is the one that I was disputing. Count 9.
He was being charged with, right? Well, that's what he just said. He was referencing count
Okay,
9.
then. So he can come back up. Look, he can come back up, and that's perfectly fine.
I want to know.
Just make sure that we're on the right page, because he said what he said, and he can go ahead and say what you got to say. I'll mute.
Like, we could have rehashed this. We could have went over this exact topic the night of the debate. But Maude got upset that she was being fact checked, and her and Jesse derailed and talked for a while. And then Maude was frustrated and left. Rightfully so. It had been 2 hours. That's fair. But like, if you're going to leave the debate on this point and then spend the next day talking about how I didn't even rebuttal this point, this is when you quit. We were talking about this when you quit. How are you going to spend the rest of the time talking? Well, he didn't rebuttal. Well, yeah, you quit. I don't. What do you want me to do?
Can we get to the statute, please?
No, Maude. No, we cannot. I would like you to
Why
address
not?
that. I'll go to the statute and I'll rehash this with you. When you
Okay, let's do that then.
when you admit that I never did rebuttal this, you quit before I could even talk about this.
You were fundamentally wrong about the statute from
So
the
you're
beginning,
not going to
because
admit that you quit during this conversation.
I've already addressed that, so I would like to
I'm just
address.
asking, Maude. Could we have a little bit
Didn't
of
I already say
transparency?
that here?
I don't know.
Okay, so can we
I
go
don't
back
know.
to? Can we go
I'm
back to the
asking.
statute you were talking about?
No, Maude. See, this is where I have
You
an
said
issue.
you were going to
with
do it
Like,
before you left.
are we going to have good faith or
Okay.
not? Are we going
I
to do
was
good
trying to
faith
give you
or
the
not?
opportunity
I
to go back
think
to the
you guys do
statute.
a redo.
Are we going to do good faith or not, Maude? Like, you're not really enticing me to do another debate when you won't even, like, in good faith, admit to everybody that you've been trashing me for a day about not responding to a point that you quit on.
Okay, so rehash this. Can you pull up the statute you were
So you're
talking
not gonna
about? The
address
one
that?
that I was talking about.
So are you not going to address that?
I've already stated what I said.
Okay,
And
well, I
you-
wasn't
and
there.
were-
Could
you
you
and
said
I
a
were
lot
not
of
on the
things behind
same
my
page.
back,
You and
face
I
to
were
face
not on the
now. Could you
same
admit that?
page. You and I were not on the. Okay, so look, check this out. MJ is going to go live because I don't care about these feelings. I want to go back to
You've
where.
been in your feelings for the
Okay,
last
so
day. What are you
MJ,
talking
MJ is about to go live,
I don't
so
care
that we
about
can go
going
back
on
and then you
MJ's
can
live.
finally,
Get the fuck outta here.
go on ahead and tell me how I got what Fannie Willis was charging Trump with wrong.
All right, Maude, there you
So
go.
I'm gonna go
Good-
live with
good
MJ right now,
accountability.
and
Good
you can. No,
accountability.
I'm not taking accountability because you're trying to
You're
gaslight
running
me, bro.
again. You're running
Okay,
again.
yep. And then I'll sit there and wait.
On this
I'll sit there and wait.
exact point, she's running again. I just
No,
want
I'm
you
not
guys to see
running.
this.
No,
Well,
I'm
why-
not running.
well,
So
where
we
are you
can do it
going
right
then?
here, right now.
Okay, let's do
Or
it right here, right
or
now.
you can try to keep pivoting.
Let's do it right here, right now. And
We'll
Okay, then.
address-
So let's pull up the
Okay.
statute you were talking about. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm sorry for
All right,
trying
all
to-
right, all right.
I'm sorry that
I'm
you
not
get
all right.
accountability. It doesn't work for you.
I do gotta go. I got some things I gotta go do. But I just want
Okay,
to say
so-
this last thing, Mod, and to everybody that were supposedly my friends or whatever. Like, if shit like this small can like end a friendship, then it really wasn't a friendship to begin with, and I'm okay with that. Like, and if you lately like. Linz, I appreciate me and you able to like hash shit out and actually have a phone call with me last night or yesterday. Maud, I appreciate you answering the phone today and trying to talk about it. But I'm going to say this, like if you and all your followers that I supposedly was friends with can end a friendship like that easily, then it wasn't a friendship to begin with. And I apologize that you didn't, if things didn't go your way or go the way that you wanted and you thought I was fact checking incorrectly, moderating like incorrectly, but people like Nicole, like 9-0, like Struggles, those people were never my fucking friends. I never cared about those women. Never cared, never will, because they're trash human beings to me. But like, I'm just saying, I'm sorry. The only people I really care about is Linz, Maud, people, Moongoon, MJ. Those are the ones that I really cared about. I truly cared about.
Well,
I
fuck
never
you
heard
too,
guys talk shit. Of course I'm on there. But I'm just saying. But you guys have a good one. RTP, I apologize for bringing you into this today. I thank you for clarifying some shit. Everybody else have a great day.
Have a good day, Jesse. Okay, RTB and MOD, I want to ask a question just so that, because from what I'm understanding, is the whole argument right now is that alternate electors are officers or are not officers. Is that what's happening right now?
Oh, that was never my argument.
So he was misreading the statute on count 9.
Read it.
So what I was misreading.
Okay, read it.
Excuse me, can I have the big box?
Yes. And RTP, if you have sources too, I'll make you the big box as well.
This will be fine.
So this was count 9 of the statute. I don't have my glasses on. Can anybody else see it, or do I need to blow it up some?
Yeah, I can see it.
Can you read it?
Yeah, can I skip all the names?
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, and the grand jurors decide. So let's just start right after the name. For the said accused individually and as persons concerned in the commissions of a crime, and together with indicted and unindicted co-conspirators in this county of Fulton and state of Georgia on and between the 6th day of December 2020 and the 14th day of December 2020, unlawfully conspired to cause certain individuals to falsely hold themselves out as the duly elected and qualified presidential electors. Conspired, conspiracy. The count is conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer. That's my argument. It's not about the electors. It's about the conspiracy to commit impersonating officers. So if you're part of the conspiracy, you don't have to be an elector. You don't have to be a public officer. Donald Trump is charged with being part of this conspiracy. That was my argument.
Right. Okay. So in count 8, the people that were charged with Okay, so hold on. The people that were charged with committing to impersonate a public officer, who were the public officers that they were impersonating?
Pull it up.
Hold on, stand by.
Do you want the names of the people, or what did you want me to read?
You can, if you can read the names.
Yeah, David James Schaefer, Sean Micah, Tresher Steele, Kathleen Alston Latham with the offense of impersonating a public officer. For the said accused individually and as persons concerned in the commission of a crime and together with unindicted co-conspirators in the county of Fulton and state of Georgia on or about 14th day of December 2020, unlawfully falsely held themselves out as the duly elected and qualified presidential electors, from the state of Georgia. Public officers with the intent to mislead the president of the United States. Oh, but there's a comma after the state of Georgia. So now we're no longer talking about them. We're now talking about somebody else. Public officers with the intent to mislead the President of the United States, the Archivist of the United States, the Georgia Secretary of State, and the Chief Judge of the United States District Court. That's where President of the United States Senate came in. That's when this all derailed, because in the indictment, it says that they were trying to mislead the President of the United States Senate, the Archivist of the United States Senate, the Georgia Secretary of State, and the Chief Judge of the United States. Those are the officers that they were trying.
No, they're not. No, that's incorrect. The officers.
That's what it
No,
says.
the officers were the presidential electors.
Yeah, you're
it
misreading
clearly
it.
says that.
No, you're misreading it. You're missing it.
I'm not
There's a
misreading
comma.
it.
Well, then why is there a comma after Georgia?
Because the presidential electors are the officers that they're alleging, because you cannot impersonate. So let me ask you this.
I'm sorry,
Are
you're
any one
misreading
of these people, officers under the state law of Georgia?
Which ones?
The president of the Senate, the archivist, and the rest of those people, are any of those people officers under the state law of Georgia?
Yeah, the Georgia Secretary of State.
that is not talking about the Georgia Secretary of
It
State.
says Georgia Secretary of State right there in the
Excuse me. The Georgia Secretary of State is not being impersonated here.
That's not
The presidential electors are the ones being impersonated.
Yeah, I don't think you understand this claim. I don't think you understand count. I don't think you understand count 8. Count 8
So
is saying
I do
that
understand count 8.
Well, count 8 is saying that these electors wrongfully held themselves out in order to
be public
deceive,
officers.
in order to deceive public officers. Yeah.
No. So why does it say, why is the charge
You're misreading it then.
impersonating and not deceiving? Because impersonating an officer would not be deceiving that person, right? You're impersonating a public officer who they said were presidential electors.
Yeah, so that's why
Correct.
this, this is a conspiracy charge, right? These are all conspiracies.
So are they trying to impersonate the president of the Senate? Because would that not be a federal charge, RTP?
Yeah, no, this is part of the conspiracy.
I understand that, but if the president of the Senate is not is the president of the Senate a public officer under the state law of Georgia?
No, it would be under the federal law, right?
Right. So this clearly is not talking about any of those people. It's clearly
wait.
talking about presidential electors.
No, it's not, because then
Yes,
why
it
did
is.
No, it's not. See, you're misreading.
I think
this.
you're getting the comma incorrect.
No, the whole problem with
All right,
this.
hold on, guys, real quick. So are we on the premise now that these fake electors were impersonating officers or deceiving officers?
They were conspiring to. They were part of a conspiracy to impersonate officers.
And those officers were the presidential electors, not the people
No,
you just.
no, it lists
So
who the
what
officers
RTP?
are.
What officers are they impersonating?
RTP.
Yeah.
If you read that, officers, right? If you just look at the officers in the way I interpret it is describing the preceding sentence.
Thank you.
Right? It says duly authorized electors, public officers, comma, and then who they were deceiving. It wasn't that they're deceiving public officers. Fannie is saying that the duly authorized electors, comma, the public officers. That's the impersonating.
Yeah, I think you're
That's what
misreading.
you're misinterpreting.
I think
No, we're not.
Hold on,
Can I
Raul. I just want to ask real quick, RTP, just to get some clarification. Who are the officers that are being impersonated?
Listen, this is the problem. You guys don't understand the charge. It's not that they're being impersonated. It's a conspiracy to impersonate.
Well, in count 8, they are being charged directly with impersonation.
Yeah, they're being charged with. Let me go get the exact word.
But RTP in count 8 at the top.
I lost you.
No, I muted him. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I want
So
it to be like
if we want to read at the top, and the grand jurors aforesaid in the name and behalf of citizens. First of all, let's be clear on this before I read this. You guys are telling me the electors are the electors are the ones being stated as the officers here. I would
Correct.
hold on, Maud. I would like to point out then that you and Jesse spent 30 minutes debating whether or not the vice president is an officer. Why did you guys have the debate?
Because that was your stance here today, and everybody just heard that you believe.
Please, for the love of God, Maud, at the end of the sentence
sorry.
is when it's your turn.
Mhm.
Why did you and Jesse spend 30 minutes arguing whether or not the vice president was an officer? If your case all along was that the electors were the officers, what are we arguing about here? This is silly.
Because your follow-up was that I was wrong about the statute and that they were talking about those people were the officers.
My follow-up today or my follow-up then?
Your follow-up that day and
No, I
today.
didn't say anything that day.
Yes, you did.
I didn't.
No, you did, because your follow-up to that was that I was incorrectly reading the statute, as you did today, that the comma preceding was not the officers, but the comma after was the officers.
What is a comma used for?
The comma is used to, in addition to, but what was before that were the officers were the presidential electors.
A comma separates subjects, right?
Correct. Yes. And the subject prior was the officers were the presidential electors.
No. So here's the thing. What they said is and again, we can read this. For the said accused individually and as persons concerned in the commission of a crime and together with unindicted co-conspirators in the county of Fulton and state of Georgia on or about the 14th day of December 2020, unlawfully, here's what they're accused of. Those electors, right? We named them. Here's what they're accused of. Unlawfully, falsely held themselves out as duly elected and qualified presidential electors from the state of Georgia, comma. Now, what's our next subject? Public officers, comma, with intent to mislead the president of the United States Senate.
Officers.
Wait.
Yeah, the officers was to highlight that they were officers. The presidential electors were officers.
Correct, but these.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying.
No, not correct in what you said. Correct in what you read. Right.
I read that correctly. And when you asserted, with the comma after,
Maud, please let me finish. Maud, please let me finish. Please let me finish, Mod. So you have a couple of problems. Number one, you're making arguments that Trump's attorneys aren't going to make. It's also not a good legal.
Oh, they're
theory.
not?
Nobody's
Sure about that?
nobody's really
Okay, I
pushing
got
this as a legal theory. They're pushing immunity. They're saying that he had immunity from this. But two, like you're going out of your way. Like this doesn't even matter at all. This was not critical to my point. It's none of this matters at all to the overwhelming point that I was making, that there is evidence that Donald Trump tried to defraud and he conspired to commit fraud. That was the overarching point. But you're stuck down on this one detail. And look, you very well could see a judge rule that the electors were officials. You could see that ruling happen. There is ambiguity in this, and you and I both know that. So for either one of us to stand here and pretend that no judge could rule those electors as officials is crazy.
Can I have the big box again, because this was
But I do need to go in like
filing
5.
for due
I do need to go in like
and
5
this is
minutes.
the exact argument that Trump's attorneys made in their motion to dismiss for due process. This was the argument. That's where I got it from, was Trump's lawyers. And it literally says right there, hold on, my next one, it says that presidential electors are not officers under Georgia state law. So you want to tell me again that I just picked that up out of nowhere?
Okay, they're making that argument, but there's a lot of people who
that's what my argument was.
and there's
So
a lot
I'm
of people
gonna
who
continue.
disagree
So I'm
with
gonna
that
continue.
argument.
Why do you disagree with it? Are presidential
disagree
electors
with what?
officers? Are they officers under?
I don't know.
under state
We're gonna
law?
have to get. I don't know. We're gonna have to get a ruling. on
Okay,
that.
yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this.
This is
So
what you do.
because
When
you
we're
stated,
unsure, we
because
wait
you
for a
also
ruling.
stated,
Yeah.
hold on, RTP, I'm not done. You
Okay.
also sat here and stated, that this was a good case from the beginning, right? You also stated that they had the charges correctly, and that it was.
I didn't state any of that.
Yes,
I didn't
you
state.
did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. You're misrepresenting everything.
Yeah, you did.
I said. No, I
Because
didn't.
it was
In fact, I said a
already
lot of it. I
decided
think
in the
might be
state of
thrown out.
Georgia, right there. It says that presidential electors are not federal, state, local, or municipal officers under Georgia state law.
I don't even think that's what I don't.
Yes,
even
that
think
is
that's
exactly what was being
Maud,
argued.
at the end of my sentence is a good time for you to respond.
Yeah, no, I'm not done.
I don't even
because
think. I
you
don't
sat
even
here and
think
said the
that.
whole
All right,
time that I was incorrect about that.
no,
And
I
I wasn't
didn't.
incorrect.
No, I didn't, Maud.
Because
No, I didn't.
that's exactly what was being argued.
This
And
is
the
so dumb.
argument, and
This is
and the
literally the dumbest.
argument is that presidential electors are not officers under Georgia state
No, it
law.
wasn't.
It
That
was
was never
already
the argument. You
determined
guys can all
in
rewatch
Bowling
the
v.
replay.